I'm on an Austro-Hungarian road trip right now, apparently. So hopefully, get across the border no problem this time. If you ever want to meet a babushka, or see the babushkas in action, their natural environment, the marketplace. After leaving Jakub and the family in Zashin, I was heading for the regional capital of Rzeszów, still in the east of Poland, about 100 kilometers away from Lviv, my next target. Good morning. I am in the eastern city, Polish city of Rzeszów, and I'm going to be meeting up with someone, and we're going to drive across the border into Ukraine, and we're going to head to Lviv. We're going to have some good Ukrainian adventure, hopefully. So, I was meant to go to Lviv, Ukraine yesterday, but I was turned back at the border due to complications with my coronavirus test. So I had to get another one I had to go through the Polish checkpoint, then go to the Ukrainian checkpoint, where the Ukrainian said my test was invalid or something like that. So I had to get tested on the Ukrainian side, then come back to the Polish side, and I don't know if anyone's ever been to a border crossing at the Polish-Ukrainian border, but it is not the quickest or most efficient way of doing things. So it took about 6 hours, and by the time they dropped me off, they had no way of, because it's only cars only. So I got to the other side, and some guy dropped me off, and then border guard said, "Can't be here. Cars only, you have to go." And there's a massive stretch of highway out in front of me, and I just say, just start walking. And he says, that's a yes, if for any of my visually impaired viewers. But so I just walked down the highway, I flagged down this guy. Guy picks me up, Vitaly, a Ukrainian truck driver who, bless him, I'll put some pictures up, sweetest man ever. And so he drives me all the way to Rzeszów. I get an Airbnb for the night, and here I am in the bright lights of Rzeszów. But I got the test, I've got all the paperwork, so today is the day I go to Ukraine, officially. So, let's do it. Right, so we've got to try and catch this bus to Lviv. It cost me about 12 quid, as you can see. Very lovely station. This is at the train station car park. So, you know, you can tell it's a wee bit rundown. But, you know, I'm just hoping the bus comes, because it's meant to come at 3. It's about 7 minutes to, and I still can't see it. So I'm really kind of getting a little bit nervous. So hopefully I can catch this bus and get out of here and go to Ukraine. There are puddles everywhere, man. Look at this. Need to get a concrete... Oh, is that it? So hopefully get across the border no problem this time. End up in Lviv, where hopefully some adventure awaits. So let's go. I don't know what had changed, but the border crossing was very easy, only about an hour or two. And now we were heading towards Lviv, the western capital and the cultural capital of Ukraine. Greetings from Lviv. I just got in about an hour or so ago, and I've literally only just walked around for about 5-10 minutes. And I must say, I am fairly impressed. I've seen a lot of beautiful things, like the main buildings, and we're just going to walk past this church here. But if you come to Lviv, or even if you hear about it, what you'll hear is that Poland thinks it's a Polish city, because, you know, the border switched a lot, and Russia thinks Lviv is a very typical Ukrainian city. So obviously they want a lot of the east as well. So it's interesting. So it's a city that, you know, is full of contrasts. In many ways it's very Polish. In a lot of ways it's very Ukrainian. But if you do come here, I think it's advised to speak Ukrainian, not Russian. Whereas if you're in Kiev or the east, then Russian might be more acceptable, especially in the east of the country. But here, Ukrainian is more accepted. So what's interesting is, when you come to the Ukraine, obviously you'll see the Ukrainian flag everywhere. To the point where my bus, the only two colours were the blue and yellow, the Ukrainian flag. But you'll also see, I don't know if this is pointing, but you'll also see the European Union flag. That's because, being disassociated with Russia now after the fall of the Soviet Union, Ukraine wants to align itself more with the kind of Europe, EU, Central Western Europe, to the point where you'll just see EU flags hanging around everywhere. Hence is the policy that Ukraine has been trying to adopt of moving a little bit closer, getting more friendlier with the EU as it gets further away from Russia. So that's just one thing you can see in the city. Commemorating those who were killed by the Yanukovych regime during the 2013-2014 protests against him. And it's kind of roughly translated as the Heroic 100. And it's got you can see the candles, and it's got the ages and their names. So you've got this hologram kind of thing, and it's just another reminder of Ukraine's troubled history and recent history. Really, this is about 7-8 years ago, so it's not that far ago. But this is to commemorate their ordered deaths by Yanukovych. Later, I found myself walking past the church of Olga and Elizabeth, and the streets were just packed with babushkas in like little headscarves selling their wares on the street. I then happened by chance to cross the marketplace, and I absolutely loved it. The people were very friendly. I took loads of photographs there, and it was just interesting, the characters walking around. It's a great place to people watch if you're into that kind of thing. If you ever want to meet a babushka or see the babushkas in action, their natural environment, the marketplace, and so this is the area. I will put on screen where it is, but I just got some shaving foam for this scraggly little beard. I got some bread and I got some fruit, and everyone was so lovely. The babushkas was so nice. And you have to come to the marketplaces over here. There's the season for lilacs, so you can see. All the babushkas are standing in the street, just selling lilacs, cheese, eggs, beets. Quite a lot of beets, actually. By dray. Then, leaving the marketplace, I found myself again walking by the church, and just the human traffic of people, just because the whole street was covered by babushkas selling cheese and flour and eggs, and anything you want you could get there. It was very incredible. I think the combined age of the whole street was about 2,000 years old, to be honest. But it was really nice to see. Unfortunately I didn't buy anything, but I did buy some lilacs later, actually. So behind me we have the commemoration for the centennial, the 100 years of Ukrainian independence. After the First World War, 1918, ended, The Russian Empire was broken up into its independent states, so Poland became independent, Ukraine became independent, and a lot of the Baltic states as well. And obviously that would change as history would go on, because, you know, the Soviets would come in and take over after their revolution, well, after they gained power. But so this is just a memorial. It says Western Ukrainian National Republic. So it's honouring the 100 years since Ukraine became a country, and then it didn't become a country again, and then in 1991 it did become a country again. So really it's only been independent for about 30 years? 30 years, yeah. I remember when people told me when I was planning on going to Ukraine, and they said, Ukraine, Eastern Europe, what the hell are you going to do there? You're going to get robbed, you're going to get beaten up in the streets or whatever the hell. And I'm in Streetsky Park right now, just watching the little babbies play. And look, there's a little, you can see there's a little ceremony going on over there. And she's dressed in traditional clothing. Well, they both are. Anyway, let's go see. It's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous here. And I tell you what, I have been absolutely gobsmacked by Ukraine so far. So this is just the most western city, Lviv. But the people have been so nice. The park's been beautiful. The buildings are very nice. Oh, like, look at that. I mean, I'm a tourist for sure, but you know, Ukraine is not what I expected, and we then stopped by a supermarket which had a GTA theme. So there was pictures of all the characters from GTA and all the loading screens, which I just thought was super weird. That is bizarre.
That is really bizarre.
We then went to this viewpoint over the city called the High Castle, although the castle itself had actually been destroyed a lot during the war. But it was a very popular spot to go and watch the sunset over the city. So I thought while I'm in Ukraine, it would be a crime to focus on the communism period, because, you know, it's not just that. You know, it's been owned by many different empires, but it would also be a mistake to ignore it. So I'm in the Novisky neighborhood, and as you can tell, it is Commie Block Central. And I'm going to show you later a friend of mine who lives inside one of these commie buildings, and it is it's very Soviet. That's all I can say about it. But for the meantime, let's take a walk around, and later I'll show you the inside one of these apartment buildings. I'm guessing it's probably not. So we're in the south of Lviv right now. And this is the Lviv shopping centre, or shopping mall, or whatever. And the Soviets built it back in the day. Back in the day, you know, bringing the real historical facts to you there. But it's probably the most Soviet building I've seen thus far, and it's surrounded by all these blocks. you can just imagine 1982 on a Friday night. You know, mum's come off from work, dad's come off from work. Saturdays, the weekends come, and they go into that supermarket to do their weekly shop or something like that. You know, I suppose it would have been quite. Ooh, lilacs. Ooh, I want to get some flowers. And some babushkas over there. Let's get them.
It's a forest, but it's not just any forest, it's a tropical forest. It's very loud, right? When was the last time you got perfect?
So my friend is doing an English class, so I gotta be quiet, but look at this Soviet kitchen appliance. So, Svena, my friend, has, during the past 2 weeks, the hot water has been off. So she's, for some reason they do this in Russia and Ukraine, they turn off the hot water for a month. And so she's been having to have cold showers. Speaking of, let's go to the bathroom. All these kitchen appliances are like at least 30-40 years old.
You're going to be saying this Monday, I'm thinking of like the upcoming Monday, I'm not thinking of last Monday. It's already passed, right? So last Monday.
Is anyone interested in this? Like, is this good content? Me showing you Soviet toilets. Across the way is a school actually. So this morning there were like kids playing around it all. So yeah, this is the typical old Soviet place. So that was the end. Of Lviv. Now I'm on my way to Kiev. It's a 6-hour train journey. And all I can say is that Lviv is wonderful, beautiful, and the people there are so friendly. Thank you, Lviv, for having me, and yeah, until next time.